I'm not like this too much anymore, but like I used to be a lot more shy, you know? Shyer. Is that a word? Shyer. I used to be shyer. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Can you say it like that? I used to be like much shyer, and because of the people knowing of the things that I had done, they mistook me being shy for being standoffish, like me being arrogant, you know? And so that's where like that prejudice of like where it comes in, like or you know, like girls think that you're automatically like, you know what I mean, just because of what you do. So it's that kind of thing. I don't really know what people think of um Americans though, like in I can't really say like what people think of Americans here. I don't know.
Do you think that you've been pressured to live up to certain stereotypes or expectations? You know, maybe you kind of had some personality traits and stereotypical elements of you
Hmm.
that were expected, but they weren't as bold as people typically think they should be. Do you
Mm.
think you sometimes had to overplay those elements?
Uh, nah, I don't. I mean, I'm a little too secure in myself to have to like. I don't even think in those terms. You know what I mean? Like, if I am doing it, I'm completely unaware of it.
Okay.
I just don't like. I never felt like I needed to act any certain way or act more American, thinking that it's gonna get my foot in the door some sort of way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I I'm pretty good with working with what I got, like the genuine me. I think, you know, I have a friend who, well, I don't know if he considers me a friend anymore, but like, I know someone who has, uh, who's from who grew up who I don't know, he didn't grow up in Philadelphia. I don't even know, but I've known him for a long time. But he's lived in Philadelphia for a really long time, right? And he has a British accent or whatever, right? And I've definitely been with him and we've met girls at the same time. And then all of a sudden his accent gets mad thick. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you would think that he just jumped, you know, came off the plane. You know what I mean? From jolly old England or whatever. But like in reality he's been in Philadelphia for like a good 30 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and and I see how it works, you know what I mean, and you know, but I guess I understand why you would do that, you know what I mean, and I don't think there's any harm in it because you do what you got to do to get your foot in the door, you know what I mean, but for me, I don't even think I have anything like that, you know what I mean, like to I don't even know what it would be to act more American or act more. Uh, I don't know, act more black or whatever. I don't know.
Mm.
The most I will do is not talk. If I'm in a situation where I feel like I need to appear somewhat threatening, I'll just talk less.
Mm.
Because when people hear this voice, there's nothing threatening about this. You know what I mean? Like this is, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so.
It's funny how you said that people thought that because you were shy and you were standoffish that um, they they interpreted that as arrogance. Because I
Mhm.
think a lot of ways that people act, maybe sort of when they're unsure about how to act or they don't know what to do,
Mhm.
are often perceived as arrogant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either being shy or being nervous or serious. can often be perceived as misperceived as arrogance.
Yeah. And people will treat you a certain way based upon what they think is going on with you. And I think this is why, like, you know how they say sometimes, like, beautiful women are really lonely at times, just because people expect them to, you know, oh, be arrogant or whatever because of the way that they look, and so then they won't approach them, or they'll like be mean preemptively, you know what I mean, like, to them.
Mm,
So, and I think I went through this like a little bit where, um because I, you know, I was kind of successful at a certain point in time, that people thought this about me when it was like the furthest thing from the truth, you
mm,
know. There was this girl. I think I think her, obviously I don't think her real name was right, but there was this girl named, if I'm remembering this story correctly, right? I mean the person correctly. Um, she used to be like this. You would go out to a club, and I think they would like hire her to just like dance in the clubs, like be on the stage or something. And she was like, she was mad cute, had a crazy nice body and everything like that, and she could do these tricks, and like she would like, she would do this thing where she would have like a beer bottle balanced on her head, and she would be like dancing and somehow rolling around and all of this stuff, and always keep the beer bottle up. And I used to look at this girl like thinking she was like the coolest thing in the world, you know. And I ended up like meeting her working in another club, and we kind of, we spoke, but we didn't like speak, you know. And then later on, maybe like a couple of years later, I would see her out, and I would just say hello and keep it moving, because I think like, what is she gonna want to talk to me about? You know what I mean? Like, she's super cool. And then like, I remember seeing her one day, and then I said hello, and then I kind of kept walking, and then she kind of like came up behind me and like grabbed me by the arm, and she was like, "Yo, you're such a fucking asshole," you know, like, I've always tried to be nice to you, and like, you know what I mean, and like, and I didn't even know, like, you think you're so cool because you're a fucking DJ and all of this shit, and I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it
damn.
was nothing like that, you know.
Yeah.
And this has happened like a couple different times, but it's because I'm like looking up to other people, and you know, but they see something different. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and
I
she
guess,
could be like, I'm just a normal girl too, and I want to have friends and be, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
so, yeah,
I mean, it may be driven by sort of natural human insecurity that if someone acts strangely
hmm
towards you,
hmm
that that they're doing that because they don't like you, or there's something about you that you don't like,
yeah,
because the natural instinct is to be a bit insecure about yourself.
yeah,
And I guess that's why people will often say, well, they don't like me because they're, you know, full of themselves, they're arrogant,
yeah,
so that's why they're acting that way. But so it is, I mean, it is what it is, but that's, I guess, the common interpretation of people acting strangely towards other people,
yeah. I,
perceived as arrogant.
yes, and I mean, I think if we could kind of get past this, like, it would solve like a lot of problems. You know what I mean? And actually, I think about it. I can be. Um, I realized that I do this sometimes, because I remember when I first moved to New York. This was like, yeah, well after 9/11 and everything like that. But I remember moving to New York, and I was with like two other people that were already living in New York, and somebody came up to us asking for directions or whatever. And I got super defensive, like right off the bat, like because I was like, oh, this is setup, like yo, he's going, you know what I mean? Like I was like thinking something completely else was about to happen, you know what I mean? And I was like kind of being aggressive about it or whatever. And then everybody else was like, nah, dude, like, you know, and then they like started giving the person the directions and it was fine. And then I realized like, oh, this is me being from Philly, like, you know what I mean? And I would have thought that like people from New York were that way. But I
Mm.
did notice that things kind of shifted after 9/11, and then people seemed to be like quite a bit nicer, or at least the people that I was hanging around with, you know?
Mm.
So um, I I guess if if we could get closer to like not making those assumptions off the bat, you know what I mean? Like things would be much better because then obviously someone's going to react a certain way based upon how I act, which is based upon what I think about them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then oftentimes I'm like, you know, if I act a certain way towards someone, and then you know because I feel offended about what they think about me, then I'm acting exactly what I think they think. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm twisting it up in my own head, but it's like it's really weird. It's really weird because I definitely like when I meet somebody and they make assumptions about like me doing drugs or whatever because of what I do. It offends me sometimes, and then they're only going on their own perception of what the industry is like.
Mm.
And so it's really not something because like the likelihood is yeah a lot of the people that they encounter are going to be like that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, people are working with what information they have to form a initial perception and then gradually enrich that as they get more information about you, they slowly form their image of you.
Hmm.
And so I guess it's the more information you can give them about
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
faster you can get to them having a view of you that's closer to reality.
Hmm.
Because everyone's trying to work out what the situation is.